Namaste everyone. I'm your co-host Shawnee ma'am. Welcome to your favorite learning channel. The topic for today's video is differences between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So in our previous videos we had learnt about prokaryotic cell. We saw different parts of this cell and their functions. Similarly, we had also learnt about eukaryotic cells, their different parts or structures and their functions. So today we will be differentiating prokaryotic cells from eukaryotic cell. So the first character based on which we are going to differentiate these two cells, that is prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell, would be based on their size. So the size is smaller in case of prokaryotic cell, whereas it is larger in case of eukaryotic cell. Then let's see the cellular complexity. Okay, so prokaryotic cells are mostly unicellular, which means they are composed of a single cell, whereas eukaryotic cells are mostly multicellular. Okay, then the next parameter or character that we would consider is the presence of a true nucleus, that is membrane bound nucleus. So this is absent in case of prokaryotic cells, whereas it is present in case of eukaryotic cells. So prokaryotic cells have a nucleoid region where the genetic material is present, whereas in case of eukaryotic cells, nucleus is, we can say that it is, they have true nucleus, that is bound by or surrounded by a nuclear membrane where the genetic material is present. Then the next character would be the presence of membrane bound organelles. So these membrane bound organelles are again absent in case of prokaryotes and it is present in case of eukaryotic cells. So membrane bound organelles are, some of them can be mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, chloroplast. So these are the membrane bound organelles which are only present in eukaryotic cells and they are absent in prokaryotic cells. Then the next parameter would be ribosome. So ribosomes are also smaller, which is of 70S type in case of prokaryotic cell, whereas the ribosomes are larger and they are of 80S type in case of eukaryotic cell. Then we would be talking about the DNA being complexed with histone proteins. These histones are positively charged proteins and these histones are complexed or associated with DNA in case of eukaryotes, whereas this type of association is absent in case of prokaryotic cell. Then the next parameter or character we would consider is number of chromosomes. Let's see how many chromosomes are present in these cells. So prokaryotic cells usually have one chromosome only. So mostly they have one chromosome, whereas eukaryotic cells have more than one chromosome. Then we would talk about the presence of sterol. Okay, so the presence of sterol in plasma membrane. So the sterol in plasma membrane is absent in prokaryotic cells, but it is only present, this is an exception, that it is only present in mycoplasma, whereas sterol is present in plasma membrane in case of eukaryotes, in case of all the eukaryotes. Then the next parameter would be cell wall. So it is present in most of the prokaryotes, but the cell wall in case of eukaryotic cell, it is present in plants, it is present in fungi, but it is absent in case of all the animals. Okay, then let's talk about few examples. Okay, so example of prokaryotic cells would be bacteria, archaea. Then examples of eukaryotic cells would be plants, fungi, then animals, etc. Okay, so now let's revise the things that we have covered today. So we saw the various differences between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. So first we took the point size. So the size is actually smaller in case of prokaryotic cell, whereas eukaryotic cells are larger. Then we saw the cellular complexity. So mostly prokaryotic cells are unicellular, that is they are only composed of a single cell, whereas eukaryotic cells are mostly multicellular, that is they are mostly composed of more than one cell. Then we saw that nucleus was absent in case of prokaryotes and it was present in case of eukaryotic cells. Again, the membrane-bound organelles were also absent in prokaryotic cell, whereas they were present in eukaryotic cell. Then, ribosome in case of prokaryotic cell is smaller, which is of 70S type, whereas it is larger in case of eukaryotes, which is of 80S type. Then, DNA complexed or associated with histones. So this type of association is absent in prokaryotic cell, whereas it is present in eukaryotic cell. Then we saw the number of chromosomes present. So mostly all the prokaryotic cells have just one chromosome, whereas most of the eukaryotes have more than one chromosome. Then the sterol in plasma membrane. So this presence of sterol in plasma membrane is absent in all the prokaryotic cells, but there is an exception that this is present in mycoplasma, whereas all the eukaryotic cells have the presence of sterol in their plasma membrane. Then we talked about cell wall. So cell wall was present in most of the prokaryotes, but in case of eukaryotic cells, animals are those which lack cell wall, whereas cell wall is present in case of plants and fungi. These are eukaryotes. So in prokaryotes, the cell wall is composed of, in case of bacteria, it is composed of peptidoglycan. In case of plants, it is composed of cellulose. In case of fungi, it is mainly composed of chitin, whereas animals, which are also eukaryotes, they completely lack the cell wall. Then we saw few examples. In case of prokaryotic cells, we listed bacteria and archaea as examples. In case of eukaryotic cells, we took the examples of plants, fungi, animals, etc. So here are the images or pictures. Here we can see this is prokaryotic cell. It is a bacterial cell. We had already studied about different structures and their different functions in our previous video. This is an example of eukaryotic cell, which is a plant cell. Plant cells do have cell wall as mentioned before, and their cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose. This is again another example of eukaryotic cell, but this is an animal cell, and animal cells lack cell wall. Okay, so I hope you all would have got some great insights by watching today's video. Please do not forget to like and share the video. Till then, thank you for watching.